What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4 with our Italian conquest. We are obviously doing fairly well. I do want to point out that it looks like the German Reich has begun a naval invasion onto the United Kingdom territory itself. However, I do feel like it is going to get pushed back, and there isn't really there isn't really anything the German Reich can do against all of these medium tanks, and I'm guessing there are heavy tanks here in the mix as well. Moving on over to the Caribbean, you can see that we are still in primarily the same predicament as we were last episode. However, this time we are learning from our mistakes. We have all of our units prepped and ready to go. However, I do feel like we should spend a little bit more time not only building a few more modern tanks, but also building a few more motorized infantry divisions. And ultimately, yes, I could do a naval invasion at this very moment. I just don't feel like it's necessarily the best idea, and I would rather be safe. Obviously, rather play it safe than sorry. So let's go ahead and let the game tick on by. Looking at our actual logistics icon, you can see that we're down 4,000 support equipment. However, we are going to hit that threshold in 190 days. Looking at our motorized divisions, that is going to happen within 72 days. And of course, our modern tanks, we are 118 days behind schedule. So what we're going to do is continue our production. We are finishing up a lot of civilian factories. I think we just finished up a massive queue. And of course, the idea is not only do we want to get more support equipment, but we also want to get more modern tanks, and of course some motorized infantry divisions. Now, I could go ahead and build some mechanized units. I don't think it's necessarily the most cost-effective thing, because these are 13 production cost, and obviously I just don't think I really have the production to do that, at least just yet. So we're going to go ahead and keep our motorized, at least for now. Research slot is available. We're going to continue moving down this, mobile warfare doctrine. We just unlocked the armored spearhead. And of course, we are now going for more organization and recovery ranks for all of our armor variants, which is actually pretty phenomenal. So let's go ahead and research this. It's going to be 231 days. In the meantime, we are doing a lot of other improvements, and I wish we could continue on, but there's really nothing we can do. Taking a quick glance at our Navy, it looks like we have 12 units here not doing anything at all. So I'm guessing let's go ahead and throw on an Admiral, move you on over to Bermuda. Looks like we had some ships here protecting, and now we do not, which makes me a little nervous. I'm wondering, have they been annihilated? I hope not. So I see that we're protecting, but I think the reason why is we are inside Puerto Rico. Yeah, I'm guessing that's why, but it also says we're holding. Let's do... It's currently repairing, so that's the reason why. So let's go ahead and find those 12 units that we just created. And the idea is I want to create sort of a perimeter along the coast, exactly like such. So we're going to go into the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to go into the Florida coast, and obviously up the eastern seaboard. And yes, I do believe that we're going to begin some fighting that primarily might not be in our best interest. But the U.S. doesn't seem to have too many ships left. They have roughly 32 ships. And I'm guessing a lot of those are going to be destroyers. Sure, they probably have a few battleships and carriers. But, we primarily have just as many dockyards as they do. We, of course, have 62 dockyards. They have a little bit more than we do. We have a much higher... No, we don't. They have a better civilian base and a better military base than we do. So that's why it is a little bit more of a challenge. I'm doing everything I can to obviously improve a lot of our numbers here. Last time we looked, it was the 22nd of September, so it's obviously been about 2 weeks. And so every day that goes by, we're building more and more modern tanks, we're getting more and more fighters. The idea is we are going to begin pushing out very, very soon. We're getting a lot of extra infantry equipment. I feel like a lot of it is going to dwindle away as soon as we actually start our real fights. So that I am a little nervous about that, trying to be cognizant at the same time. We are actually producing a few amount of jet tactical bombers, and the idea behind this is I do want to obviously give my tanks some close air support, and so that's going to be something I'm going to try to work on as well. They have a range of 1,800 kilometers, and of course our jet fighters have a range of 1,200, so I think no matter where we station these bombers, we should be good to go. Looks like we just finished up something. I don't know what it was, which I'm very saddened about. I believe it was probably something in here. Was it signal companies? I don't even know. We don't really need field hospitals. We've got everything that we really need within support companies. We have our modern tanks. We aren't using any type of artillery. We're working on our land doctrine, at least for right now. So, do we want better mountaineers? Not really. Do we want the better half-track? Probably. Looking around, it might not be a bad idea to get our final doctrine, but it's not really necessary because we're ultimately annihilating the enemy troops. Should I get for advanced landing craft? It would make everything a lot easier to shift on over. And we can have the naval capacity up to 100 rather than, obviously, 50, which I believe is what we're at now. 40. We go from 40 to 100. So let's do that, and I guess that's it. In 11 days, we're going to have to pick something else. Looking at our support equipment, it should be done in about 158 days. So one of my next priorities is once I finish up all of these modern tanks, I'm going to flip on over, try to get some support equipment up and running as well. Not only are we going to have to wait the 128 days, 152 days is all that's left in just a second. And what's going to happen is once we start fighting, all of that support equipment is going to get annihilated as well. So I think one of our best options is obviously to do what I just did. Build a lot more support equipment factories, or send a lot more factories to start producing more support equipment. We just unlocked our signal company. Can we get any more radar? No, we cannot. We're not even in radar. We are pretty much done with engineering, pretty much done with industry. We don't need anything else. I would absolutely like to get better variants of the fighter, but we're obviously 4 years ahead of schedule. I guess now is the time to start working on our carrier battle groups and our naval units. I don't want to, though, and I don't think I will. Unless I absolutely need to. Let's get the half-track. It's 246 days. I have no idea if I'm actually going to produce it or not, but we will see. And it looks like the German Reich is surprisingly enough winning a lot of these fights. So I guess that is obviously something to look forward to. Infantry anti-tank is obviously being unlocked. And very soon we are about to unlock the second variant of the infantry anti-tank, which is 109 days. I'm going to feel a lot better with all of our motorized and mechanized having better heart attack and better piercing. One of my only issues, though, is I just feel like we're not necessarily prepared, at least at this exact moment. I need a lot more motorized units. I need a lot more modern tank units. And one thing I could do is I could add another line of motorized. It would give us a lot more health. I mean, heck, we're making 43 of these a day. Let's take a quick glance. What would that look like? So, motorized divisions, we would require... I have no idea. Let's go ahead and remove this. Okay, so it's 50 motorized divisions. So, I could easily add on a lot more motorized divisions. And then add a heck of a lot more. Organization. Let's take a glance at this. Motorized. So we would add more hit points, more organization. We don't need suppression. Breakthrough doesn't matter. Defense kind of matters, not really. So the only thing that we really want is more soft attack, organization, and hit points. So that'll obviously be a nice benefit. So one thing that I might do, taking a quick glance once again, is obviously, modern tanks are important, but I think I'm going to actually delete this and add 2 lines of motorized units. Now, you're probably thinking, why not just add the half-track? And the reason why is, look at this production cost. I want to fight sometime within the next year, not in 2 years. So, yes, this is cheaper, but unfortunately, you get what you pay for. So now I need a lot more military factories. I need a lot more of them. 1, 2, 3. I'm building them wherever I can, and it's obviously very, very slow. And I am happy that I built up my civilian factories. We obviously improved our economy. I just don't think it was really what we needed at this exact moment. Let's remove one of these ports. You all can go down. So yes, we're still improving our ports. However, we're not improving them as much as before. Still building up about 5 military factories, almost 5.5 every single 4 months. It's kind of a boring episode, I'm sorry, because obviously what we're doing is building up a lot of our modern tanks. 63 days, up from 118 before. We're obviously going to want a surplus. And we're going to want a lot more modern tanks, obviously modern tanks, but motorized divisions, which we're finally about to be with a surplus of. Still working on our support equipment with 119 days. That makes me a little concerned as well. At least we'll get those in time. Let's send both of those to the bottom, and then one naval base to the bottom as well. That is Jamaica. Now, I wonder if I could send in all of these Mountaineer divisions. I mean, they're not doing anything. Excuse me, they are protecting our coastline, but it looks like the German Reich is doing that. So that is something else I could probably try to do. You know what? Let's do that. Let's send all of these Mountaineer divisions down to... I don't know what we're going to do this, or how we're going to do this. Let's garrison and put them on into all of these islands. If they make it, they make it. If they don't, they don't. We had 36 units. Military police are being finished up. Landing craft are being worked on. Field hospitals might be nice now that we actually have infantry divisions. I guess we'll get it. We don't need it. And advanced landing craft heading on over. Any second now. There it is. I don't really want any better carriers. I would absolutely like the better light cruiser. And the German Reich wants to send us weapons, though we don't need them. The only thing that we need to do is, speed up our time. And we haven't really been doing that. This naval base probably needs to go to the top. Obviously, we are going to be sending in a lot of troops to Puerto Rico, and so they need a pretty strong naval base and probably better infrastructure. All of these places probably need better infrastructure. Okay, so we have a little bit of resistance to occupation. I'm guessing it's inside France. Can we look at the resistance map mode? Yes, I was absolutely right. However, we do have about 5 units not doing anything. They are our military police. Let's send you to Bordeaux, here, and here. And I guess you can go there. The idea is we need roughly 4, and we're sending in 5. Am I going to make a difference? I have no idea. Am I going to try? Yes. Okay, another ace pilot promoted. We are seeing a small amount of combat, and surprisingly enough, the U.S. does still have some carriers. And they are fleeing, and there's nothing I could do about that. However, I did sink a heavy cruiser that probably took a few months to build, and I really just wish I had better range of the actual Caribbean, which I don't. I could build up a very powerful radar station on Jamaica. I would just rather build one in the Bahamas or inside Florida. Or, you know what? There is one in Florida. Level 3 radar station. Okay, well now our modern tanks are still gearing up. Our support equipment is still working up as well. We have a little bit of unrest, but it's at a -5%. Mexican opposition has joined the Allies. I was not really expecting that. So maybe something we could do is start our invasion through Mexico. I actually didn't think of that. And that seems like one of our most viable options. So let's do that. You, from Jamaica, are going to do a naval invasion. All the way into the Yucatan, except we're actually going to go up one more. And you need to be given the general with some better traits. And I guess we're going to begin our attack here. And whenever this guy is ready. How many units are we still waiting on? We're still waiting on about 1,000 modern tanks, which will be about 30 days. Still waiting on a lot of support equipment, which is going to be built in time. Or at least it should, as we are obviously starting to shift our focus into support equipment. I want to shift that to the top, just so we can actually see what we're building. Our motorized will come next. Very, very slowly. And did our 36 units ever make it over? They surprisingly did. And I think we're going to have 72 units plus 36 on our Mexican front line. And I do want to make a quick glance. Are there any other units in Central America that are part of the Allies? No. Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Mexico shouldn't really be that hard of a, that big of a deal. But obviously I want to build more and more modern tanks. I want to get more and more motorized up and running. Unfortunately, I think if I get a lot more motorized, we're going to need a lot more infantry equipment, which I don't know if I necessarily have that production capacity up. I have a lot right now. I've got 154,000, but I guess my question is how long will that last? One of my biggest priorities is to obviously not only build up the infrastructure, but also build up a powerful air base, build up a massive radar station, and so that's where a lot of our economy is going to be shifted into. How long until our actual invasion? Very, very soon. I kind of also... I'm getting a little nervous here, but we're obviously about to begin any second now. We have a lot of units up inside the Caribbean that don't need to be there. And once we land, obviously we are going to have a very weak naval base, but we're going to try to build up both of those as quickly as we can. Okay, this is either going to work out fantastically, or obviously it's going to be a big failure. Any day now, we are going to be prepped and ready to go. And I hate to say it, but this is our time. 25 days, sending you on in. And eventually, let's take these guys and actually send you down to Jamaica. And I'm hoping they start moving, and it looks like they will. So here comes our tanks. We should be able to defeat Mexico fairly easily. But once we actually own, switching all of these, once we actually own a naval base, we should be fine. Yes, I'm going to switch all of these out for a better version of the light cruiser. And I had a lot of naval experience, but I guess I used it all. And I could throw some in. I don't think I will, though. Alright, these 18 units making their way through. All it appears is that they have a couple units of military police. They've got 6 here. So 9 will move down, you will move down, and immediately we are going to switch to a field marshal. And all we need to do is secure one port, and we are good to go. And it looks like there is an airbase here, so it won't be as hard to build up. Is this the moment? Is this the moment? I also want to change this to green just because I can. I think it's finally going to happen. We are moving incredibly slow because I'm guessing we have very low infrastructure. And we have a research slot available. We don't really need anything at all at this moment. So I guess we could build up our final doctrines. Bomber defense, no thank you. Air support mission efficiency, we could. Let's get our naval doctrine. More organization, and I believe it said sortie efficiency. Okay, all we need is this naval base. And it looks like we finally have it. So these 18 will move here. All 36 of these units are now part of this plan. And the goal is to finally just push on up. There's 36 units. Let's go ahead and activate. And immediately, we need to start building up the Yucatan. As we are going to try our best to do a naval invasion. Can we build up the infrastructure as well? Yes, we can. We are going to have to go ahead and also build up this air base. Level 10. Can we also get a level 6 radar station? Yes, we can. It's going to take some time, though. I don't know if we even need a lot of these, buildings anymore. And also, let's take a few extra units and demolish Belize. It looks like we already have some units. Ah, that's Mexico. The Italian flag and the Mexican flag looked very, very similar. Okay, well now that we actually have some planes, let's go ahead and throw on a few fighters. We're probably going to throw on 100, and then we're also probably going to throw on 100 jet bombers. Jet tactical bombers. Okay, so both of you are going to assist with close air support and air superiority, and we obviously have too many planes here, so let's drop this by alt. Let's actually remove these altogether. We had 1,200 planes in a 200 port capacity. Alright, Belize needs to fall. I also feel like improving the naval base inside this region might not be a bad idea. I mean, we could probably build it up by 2 or so. But our number one priority is, of course, going to be both the air base and the radar stations. And I no longer see a front line, which makes me incredibly nervous. We've already lost 2 units. I'm guessing they have been sunk. And we now need an offensive line. Go ahead and activate. I am now going to send in another 18 units. So now we have 50 in total. Oh man, this is so nice to finally have a successful naval invasion. The only thing that we absolutely need more than anything right now is obviously our radar stations up, and we obviously are going to need our air bases. And what's cool is in the meantime, while we're obviously doing a lot of our pushing, not only are we building up our infantry equipment, we're also getting a surplus of motorized, surplus of modern tanks. Surprisingly, we have 424, and that number still continues to grow. This number keeps diminishing, though. It's now down to 43. So we're either being sunk, which I'm guessing is the exact reason. Yeah, we're being bombed, and we still own the Bahamas, but it's not really as good as we had anticipated. I mean, had I have had our, radar station protecting us, we would have been fine. Surprisingly enough, it looks like there's one inside Belize. Anti-tank has been unlocked. Let us go ahead and begin researching. I'm guessing another air doctrine. Air support mission efficiency is not bad. All of our tanks are doing a fantastic job. We're probably going to also need to improve the infrastructure in a lot of other areas, especially down here in Mexico. So what the idea will be is we have a level 10 naval base. This is obviously infrastructure and not the naval base. But once we have a level 10 infrastructure, it's supposed to be, our supply will be shifted on through. I think I have a supply map mode. So eventually you can see that we are going to be funneling through, and we're having a bottleneck right now because of our very low amount of naval supplies that are being shifted through the region. Alright, well I guess we're going to go ahead and end this episode here, so thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you in our next adventure.